Welcome to another episode of Gear65. Today we are taking a look at the Samsung Galaxy Tab 10.1. So this is Samsung's 10.1-inch tablet and it's running on Android Honeycomb 3.1. So, usually we go through the hardware and things like that, but I thought I just want to do a little bit different, something a little bit different today, to show you two things. One is what is Honeycomb 3.1, the slight improvements that Google has done to improve Honeycomb, the tablet operating system. And secondly, what has Samsung actually done to customize the user interface slightly, to differentiate their tablet from the rest on the market today. Okay, so I'm just going to do that right now. I'm just going to turn the tablet on. And so here everything looks the same. You've got this same lock screen, so you're just going to drag this thing to the side and then you will unlock it. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you with regards to Android Honeycomb 3.1 is that they've changed the widget screen slightly. So one of the most obvious changes is that if you press and hold a widget, you can actually now resize them. So this is very useful, especially when it comes to widgets that with things like this, actually, like photos. You'll see a little grid up here. It's not very obvious. So actually when you hold it, you'll see tiny little grids so that to help you align as well as to show you what kind of readjustments you can actually make with the widget itself. And it's very useful. It really gives you a lot more control with what you can do with the widgets. And they've also improved support with keyboard and mouses. If you remember the last time we took a look at one of the Asus tablets that's running on Honeycomb as well, it had a track point and stuff like that. So there's a slightly better support with it, and you can now pair not just Bluetooth keyboards, because Bluetooth keyboards, the iPhone has been able to do that all as well, but you can also pair Bluetooth mouse. So over here I have my trusty Microsoft Bluetooth notebook mouse. I'm just going to turn it on, and I've already paired it in advance. And you see this little track point right here. You can actually have a mouse paired to a tablet. So, if you have a keyboard as well as a mouse, you can literally turn this into a notebook. Or if you connect this thing to a TV, well, you can't connect this one, but if you could connect a tablet to a TV either by HDMI or anything like that, you can literally turn your TV into an Android computer or things like something like that. So that's some of the improvements, more interesting improvements that they've done with Honeycomb. They've also improved the multitasking capabilities and the screenshots and stuff like that. So, and yeah. The other feature that Samsung added onto their tablet is tilt features. And so the first one is a little gimmicky. So what you can do is that you can press and hold a widget on the home screen, and by tilting the tablet left and right, you can actually switch the screen to pick which one to put on. It's kind of gimmicky, really. I think you can just kind of drag it to the edges and left and right. It's probably a little bit more comfortable. Feels like playing a game trying to do that. But the other one is slightly more useful. If you go into the browser and you're visiting a website, you can put your two fingers in the corner of the browser, and by just tilting it forward and backwards, you can actually zoom the browser itself. So this one is slightly more useful, but I don't know. You can just use two fingers to do pinch and zoom, but it is there. Let's take a look at what Samsung has did with TouchWiz. So we talk about this a lot, especially when it comes to Android and Windows mobile devices, Windows phone devices. Every manufacturer has to do something to make their tablet stand out, especially with regards to software. So Samsung has done a few things to make their tablet stand out. One thing is that they've actually created really good widgets. So if you've seen the Samsung Galaxy S2 video that we've done, you'll recognize these widgets. They're really big and clear widgets that fill up as much space as they can. In fact, if I just drag them over to some side, you can see that the widgets that come with the TouchWiz take up a lot more space. Meaning that there's lesser space between widgets than you would find on the stock widgets. So this actually gives you a much more tighter feel with regards to widgets. So that's actually kind of a small thing, really. But the kind of widgets that you can have, the photo widget, this little clock, you have this social hub, which is a little something that you find on all of their Android devices. But one very interesting thing that they've done is that, two things they've done. They've also added this button right here. So this is a screenshot button. Yeah, this they decided that we're gonna add an extra button to this row, right? Next to the back, the home and the multitasking button. And what button did they decide to put there? Decided to put a screenshot button. So I don't know why they figured that majority of the people are gonna actually want to capture the screenshot, but the button is there. But the most interesting thing really that I'm very happy with, and I'm very surprised that they've actually done, is this little button right here. When you click on this, it brings up this little dock, and you have these 6 shortcuts. And these are not shortcuts to applications. These are very special applications, and let me just show you why. Right, I'm going to minimize them. I'm going to open the browser, right? And if I hit this little panel right here and I say calculator, you still have the Chrome browser running in the background, but you can have this little calculator, and you can actually start doing stuff on top of the browser that's running in the background. So this is actually a truly multitasking mini widget, mini application type of thing, and it's really, really cool. So you could, literally without interrupting your work behind there, look, I can still scroll the browser, right? I can still create a new tab and things like that, and still be able to have this calculator right up here. And there are a lot of different applications. Unfortunately, you can only run one at a time. There's a task manager, right? So this one will actually allow you to kill certain applications that's running in the background. Look, they even have a RAM manager as well, telling you, how much stuff is there. They've got a calendar, right? They've got a world clock, and so the same thing. You can actually kind of drag it around, and if you want a fully featured one, just hit this, and it will switch you back to that particular application in full. But let's go back to the web browser. You have this pen memo, which allows you to draw and leave notes wherever you are. So this is a really cool thing. It's actually just running in front of all the other applications. You have controls to your music player and all that. So this is not some kind of a shortcut panel. You cannot change these 6 icons. These 6 icons are fixed. You can't just drag anything in there, because these are not normal applications. These are truly multitasking. This really gives you the ability to truly do 2 things at one time. Take notes while you're surfing a website, do some calculations while you're surfing a website, or whatever it is. So that is a very cool feature. That is the first time we've seen it on a Honeycomb device. The other thing that they have done is they've changed this little panel a little bit. So normally, if you remember, you see rows of icons and things like that. But what Samsung did was that they've actually changed these icons right here into buttons, the same kind of stuff that you find on their other TouchWiz devices. So I can easily turn notifications on or off, turn GPS on or off, and so on and so forth. And then, of course, the rest of them just work pretty much the same as they do with any other Honeycomb device. So these are the changes that they've done. Very good changes, actually. I like what they've done with this notification panel. This is definitely a lot more easier to use and more efficient use of space compared to what is normally found on the traditional notification panel on Honeycomb. I really, really love this panel at the bottom right here that allows you to launch these fairly useful applications, Task Manager, the calculator especially, on top of other existing applications. The screenshot button is a little strange. I have no idea why they put it there, but it's there. Yeah. So that is the software side of things. So the tablet itself is 10.1 inch, as I mentioned earlier, and it's a very clean tablet. You can see that the design is really very clean. Of course, it reminds you of another competitor tablet on the market today. It's completely symmetrical on all 4 sides. But hey, it works. It's really nice. It's clean. And one of the most surprising things about this tablet is that it actually feels quite light. It might not be that much lighter than, say, an iPad, but it does feel a lot lighter, probably because majority of the tablet is actually made of plastic rather than metal. So it does feel a lot lighter. And so here's the back of it, and it's completely plastic. Let me just turn off the display. Right. So the good thing is that makes the tablet a lot lighter, but the problem is that it does make the tablet feel a lot cheaper as well. So that's the only thing. And being plastic, I guess it's a little bit more prone to scratches. But then again, nowadays there isn't a single material on the backing that actually is scratch proof, so that's probably not so much of an issue. So let's go around the tablet and see what does this tablet actually come with. So we're going to start at the top right here. This is a 3 megapixel camera with autofocus as well as an LED flash. Alright, and I'm just going to bring it to the top. You have the SIM card slot right over here, which you can just pop open very easily. No need for paper clips or anything like that. You have a 3.5mm headphone jack. On this side, you have volume controls, as well as the standby switch. And guess what? That is all. These are the only two buttons that you find on this entire tablet, making this tablet really, really clean. Alright, on this side you have one speaker, alright, and then you'll find another speaker on the other side. This makes this a truly stereo speakers. Unfortunately, it doesn't really mean much. I mean, unless you're in a really quiet room. Since the speakers are that small, you don't expect really great sound quality, but it is stereo. And then finally on the bottom right here, you have a dock connector, which uses to charge as well as have the USB cable to connect to your laptop or your computer, and you have the microphone over here. And finally, right here on the top, you have a 2 megapixel front facing camera, and over here you probably won't be able to see this, but this is a light sensor. So the problem with this light sensor, however, is that we found this sensor to be very sensitive. So one problem is that when you're holding the tablet in this in portrait mode, and you hold the tablet like this, you'll cause the screen to dim very quickly, which is kind of annoying. You can see that it's dim already. So it is very sensitive. So I have a tendency to turn off the auto ambient sensor to make sure that it doesn't happen. And of course, rotates on all 4 sides. And other specs includes a widescreen display. So this is the resolutions for this display. Let me just bring that up. So you have a 1280 by 800 pixels display. Alright, if 1 gigabyte of RAM built in. The model that I'm holding right here is 16 gigabytes, but there is a 32 and 64 gigabytes model, and there's a 3G model as well, which is what I'm using as well. So HSDPA, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, everything you'll find in a pretty high-end tablet. A 1 gigahertz dual-core NVIDIA Tegra 2 processor is built in as well, and battery life, not so bad battery life, 9 hours with video playback. So yeah, it's a pretty good tablet. It's not perfect. For example, Honeycomb still is a little bit sluggish. For example, you can see it as I'm sliding my finger left and right. The widget screen does lag a little bit, probably because of all the tons of animation that's going on there. But of all the Honeycomb tablets, I like what Samsung has done with TouchWiz. As usual, TouchWiz so far has done a pretty good job in making the tablet really functional. So this is actually not too bad a tablet. So yeah, this is the Samsung Galaxy Tab 10.1 running on Honeycomb 3.1, Android Honeycomb. And I hope you like this video. If this video was useful for you, why don't you subscribe and like this video. And our YouTube channel is at youtube.com/65bits. You can check out all of our videos, or you can visit our website at www.tech65.org for more cool tech content. Alright, this is Gear65. See you guys soon. Bye.